Eternity's Shadow by E. Thomas Canton. Copyright 2024 E. Thomas Canton. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic or mechanical, including photocopy, recording, or by any information storage and retrieval system, without written consent from the publisher. Credits. Voices by MRF.com. Sound effects from www.freesoundslibrary.com. And additional sound effects from www.zapsplat.com and pixabay.com. Music by www.zapsplat.com and IB Audio.
Since her death, much has been written about Adam's lack of personal relationships. There were the two primary relationships of Fennel Smith and Maximilian Nilsson that everyone knows of. Although few understand the true depth of her bonds with them, even fewer delve into Adam's relationship with Artemis Jade, her most crucial and complex. Helen Schaefer. Octavia Wilde, The Definitive Biography Volume 1. The rain's lullaby should have eased me into a deep sleep, but not that night. My turbulent brain wouldn't allow sleep. Fear held a firm grasp over my mind, and I could not escape it. Trying not to wake Fen, I slipped out of bed, grabbed my clothes, descended to the lobby, and hailed a cab. As we pulled out, I noticed another car down the street pull out almost immediately after us. The cab drove to Fen's building. I paid the driver, but as I looked around, I couldn't see the other car. Hurrying into the lobby, I told the security to notify me if anyone else entered the building. I broke into Fen's office and went straight to her desk drawer. Once I picked the lock, I opened the drawer and withdrew the file folder. The green and gold desk lamp created a warm, welcoming pool of light in the center of the dark wood desk. Sitting back in Fen's leather desk chair, I read the report's contents. I felt like an idiot. How could she ever forgive me for not trusting her? It had been a simple background check that she had done on me when we first met. A reasonable thing. Given her work, she couldn't trust it to a complete stranger. While little actual content was present in the report, everything supported what I had already told Fen on my own. She needed to know I had been honest with her and that she could trust me. I'm guessing she didn't tell me because she knew I'd overreact. I'm also guessing that the government security agencies she worked with didn't know of this report. No one wanted them to get wind of the fact that I wasn't who they thought. Closing the folder, I placed it back in the drawer, closed and locked it. Clink. Ouch. I reached up to rub my ear. Why my earlobe felt like lit charcoal, I didn't know. I brought my hand back down. Blood covered my fingertips. Shooting a look in the sound's direction I heard, I saw a little round hole in the window leading to the balcony. The detail became apparent before the larger canvas. A hand slid down the glass, leaving a wake of blood for the rain to wash away. The body fell into a heap. I stared in disbelief, for I don't know how long. I didn't know anyone had even been on the balcony. He moved. I studied him, taking in every detail. I knew he couldn't harm me. A bright red dot appeared on the forehead of my reflection. I'd seen enough spy movies to understand what that meant and dove in front of Fen's desk. Grabbing my mobile, I dialed the police. It rang before I could. The noise startled me. I jumped. Unknown caller. Hello.
Are you okay? Are you hurt?
No.
Good. Stay off the balcony. I called the police.
The voice said. Who are you?
Stay where you are until the police arrive. No one can see you from the street. You should be safe.
Outside, I heard sirens approaching.
Do you hear that?
The sirens?
Yes. They'll be with you soon. Stay on the phone with me until they get to your location.
Okay. I tried not to cry.
That man on the balcony is a hired gun. You were his target.
Who is he?
We don't know.
Who are you?
Your wife hired me to keep you safe.
Wait a minute. You said hired gun. Who hired him?
We don't know.
The door banged open, and the lights flashed on. A small group of police entered with the weapons trained on the window. He's on the balcony, I said. Fen entered on the heels of the police. She rushed to me. We embraced. Oh my God, I'm so happy you're okay, she said. I could feel the tremor in her voice. We stood, with Fen guiding me to the office chair. An officer approached,
Can you tell us what happened?
relaying the events of that evening to the police. I regained control of myself little by little. Fen's stare drilled a hole through my heart. When I finished, she sat on the desk in front of me, placing her arm around me. It's okay. The gurney clanked past us, and I turned to look at my would-be assassin. He reached out to me.
You.
He said. The paramedics stopped. I approached my assassin,
Don't get too close.
said an officer. Cloaked in night vision goggles, body armor, and a black mask, the assassin lay on the stretcher with the paramedic holding gauze on the back of his neck. The bullet entered above the armor, but below the helmet he wore. A precise, or lucky, shot. The police removed his goggles and mask. I saw an older man, bald, with a goatee. His dull gray eyes opened and peered into mine. Before I could react, he reached up, grabbed my shirt, and pulled me closer. The officers grabbed his arm, struggling to pull me free as the man's bloody mouth struggled to form words.
This isn't over. I'm not the only one Jade sent.
He said. The assassin released me.
Get him out of here.
A police officer said to the paramedics. Who's Jade? I asked while the paramedics wheeled him out of the office on the gurney. From that point on, security surrounded me like a suit of armor. Until everyone evacuated to another Earth, I became the most important person in that world. Although I now felt safe, the project itself continued to suffer from a growing number of unexplained setbacks. We were discussing this with our security when the buzzing in my pocket got my attention. I placed the phone to my ear. Hello. Yes, this is she. I don't know what expression appeared on my face, but Fen shot a look at me. She didn't blink once. Thank you. Will you be needing me for anything else? Okay. Thank you. Goodbye. I put the phone back in my pocket and turned to Fen. That was the police. The shooter. They found him hung by his neck in his cell last night. Wow. He said that he wasn't the only one sent to kill me. It's not over. If he can kill someone in prison. Don't think that. Fen said. Fen helped me get through the next few paranoid years finishing the platform. In my spare time, I continued to make entries into the minister's chronicle of our adventures. I always wondered what happened to him. I know I didn't know him long or well, but I still felt that his well-being had become my responsibility. It's strange how you can feel connected to a person without ever understanding why. I imagined him alive and happy, because that's what I wanted for him. Still, every time I thought about him, a dark foreboding would creep into my most pleasant dreams, perverting them into an all-encompassing sense of dread that would haunt me throughout the day. The first nightmare saw the minister strapped to an examination table in the dark. A bright light shone on him from high above. The inquisitors asked him why, but for the longest time he suffered in silence.
I don't know.
The minister admitted.
I don't know why she abandoned me here.
By she, he meant me. I don't know how I knew this, but I did. That's the way dreams are. Inquisitors by the dozen surrounded the minister. They all pulled out long knives from under their robes and stabbed him again and again. I never had nightmares before the Nexus. Dreams. Yes, but not nightmares. I tried to reason my way through the images in my head, but it never got me anywhere. Yes, I worried about the minister, but not to where I should have nightmares about him. I didn't mean to sound callous, but being a grown adult, he could, with any hope, take care of himself. The following night, the dreams came again. This time, I dreamt about the night the darkness came. I heard Fen scream as the cloud came for her. Instead, it had become the minister tied to the chair in the Inquisitor's chamber. I know it makes no sense, but the horror left me so frightened that I woke up too terrified to scream. I would sit upright in my bed with my mouth wide open. No sound ever emerged. More dark horrors paralyzed me that second night. The night the thought came. But not just any thought. The thought. The one that made sense of everything. It popped into my head while I sat with my mouth gaping wide open. Weird. I shouldn't say it popped into my head. I spent many long, frustrating hours trying to lift the veil on the enigma of Brexus, but I could never fit all the disparate pieces of the puzzle together in a way that made any sense. The mystery of the human psyche amazes me. My subconscious worked it out when my conscious mind couldn't. It all came down to this. I never had nightmares before my exposure to the Nexus. But why would the Nexus give me terrible dreams? The Nexus? A living energy source. That had to be the key. The more I thought about it, the more I theorized that I'd formed a symbiotic relationship with the Nexus. The more I exposed myself to the Nexus, the more it made me aware of events or people beyond the normal senses. That must be what happened on the first platform. I'd felt as though someone had punched me in the stomach. Could the Nexus be reaching out to me? How I achieved this ability, or how it worked, I couldn't explain without more information. I didn't believe that it mutated my DNA, because the radiation levels on the platform were 0. Question. Could it be an alternative form of radiation my instruments couldn't detect? In the morning, I should run some tests to find out. I felt certain that the dreams were communication through the Nexus, and I suspected they were telling me that the minister could be in trouble. Brexus could exchange thoughts with me, maybe because of her long-term exposure to the Nexus. In fact, my new theory considered that the Nexus may have kept her alive. How this could be, I didn't know. I didn't have enough information to understand the mechanics of it. It also meant that it might be possible that she didn't have any implants. She, too, shared a symbiotic relationship with the Nexus. That connection allowed her to employ its energy to destroy entire universes. No. That makes no sense. Symbiotic relationship or not, physics dictates she would still need to tap into the Nexus and focus its energy. That would necessitate some kind of tech. I needed to find out so much more. I mean, after all this time, I still knew nothing about Brexus, or why we seemed to have some connection. Now, remember that these ideas were only a theory, and I had no direct proof of it. I wrote my thoughts down, because if I didn't, my mind would race all night, and I'd never get to sleep. I needed my energy for the next day's big event. It had been 3 years since I had arrived on this earth, and we had completed the platform.